Hi, I'm Maz. I want to show you how to make a very simple deck box in Fusion 360 and be able to print it on just about any 3D printer. So what the deck box look like is this, right? Very simple, and this is 65 single sleeve cards in here. It has little nubs that hold the lid on. So why a deck box? Well, I've been making deck boxes, custom ones, for the last 4 years. I first started with the Force of Will one that I released, and it did pretty good that I actually was able to make this my job because it was finally like putting food on the table and making me have more time to design new stuff. So then I made this one that is for commander decks, and it is encasing of magnets in the sides there, all corners. And then this year I designed a dragon egg deck box that I'm very proud of because I love making dragon eggs. And I put my dice in there. This is for another 60 double sleeve. So the dimensions that I'm going to give you is for this box. This is what we're going to make because it's simple and you have to start somewhere, right? So I'm going to show you the dimensions that I use for this. Now these dimensions, they are for the pink box. So what you're going to do is you're going to go into Fusion 360 and you're going to make sure that you start a new file. In Fusion 360, you're going to create a new sketch. You're going to go create sketch, select plane, I select the bottom one. Then you're going to go under sketch and select the center rectangle. Snap to the center, pull out your rectangle. That dimension is going to be the 48.8. Hit tab, and then you're going to do 68.75. Hit enter. So this is your profile for the 60 card box that we're going to make. So if you wanted to make it so it can hold more, you're going to change the 48.8 to however many you want to put in there. That's what you change. Okay, so the thing that we need to create is the wall for the base of the box and then the wall for the lid. We're going to use the offset tool to do this. So that's under sketch offset. You're going to select your rectangle and then you're going to want this to be 2. The reason I do 2 is because 1 is not enough and 3 is too much. 2 just seems great. Then you're going to use that offset tool again, and you're going to do a clearance of 2.2, so you're going to have a 0.2 in between the lid and your base. Then you're going to do offset again, and you're going to create your lid thickness, which is going to be 4.2. So then now you have your wall profile for the base, and then the wall profile for the lid. Now we're going to extrude these. So the extrude is under create, extrude, or you can press E. You're going to want to do the most inside square and then the next profile near it. You're going to do a extrusion of 1 millimeter. That's going to be our bottom floor to this. You're going to turn your sketch back on, so that's in this tree over here. You'll turn that back on, and then you're going to create the wall. So if you click and hold, you can then select profile. You're going to do extrude again. And this time, since I did a 1 millimeter and I want 92.7, I'm going to do 93.7. So it's going to want to cut, but I want it to join. So change it to join, select OK. And then now we're going to create the lid top. So that's another extrude, and you're going to want all the profiles, even the little piece. And then we're going to change this to a from object start position. You're going to select that top face, and then you're going to do a 1 millimeter. It wants to join, but you want to change it to new body, and then say OK. Now we're going to do the sidewall for the lid, which is the outer profile here. You're going to do another extrude. And this time the starting position is not the top face, but it's the under face of your lid. And then that you're going to either drag down to -40 or just put -40. -40, where is it? I hit pause break. And you're going to want that to join. Say OK. And so now you have a lid and a base. You can turn the sketch off because you don't need it. So the next thing that you're going to want to do is create some way for the lid to flex. So the easiest way to do that is I turn the base off, go over to create, select a cylinder, select the side face, and then get this cursor to snap to the center, click, drag out, get something about yay, click again, and then drag that arrow right through. It's going to cut, say OK. And then you're going to want to do the same thing on the other thing for a different reason. So this one, you want to be able to have the lid flex a little bit. For this, you want to be able to have a way to get the cards out. Otherwise, you have to dump it. So you don't want to dump. Dumping's bad. So you're going to go to cylinder again. You're going to select the front face of the base, and then get it to snap in the center there. Click, pull it out, and then click somewhere around yay. Say OK here after you pull it through. It's going to cut. So now we have a way to pull the cards out and a way for the lid to flex while it's on. Okay, so the very important part is creating the nubs, because otherwise the lid can literally just slide off. There's nothing really holding it closed while it's running around in your bag. So we're going to create a sketch on this face here. Create sketch. And then there's a tool in Sketch called slot that we're going to use. It's the center point slot. You're going to get this to kind of snap in the center here, and then find where this arc is here, and then kind of go in the middle. Click, pull it away, and something around here is okay. Now we don't want to snap here because that isn't what we're going to do. We want to be in a little bit. So it wants 6. Sounds good. I'll say okay. And then now we're going to use that offset tool again because we need to create kind of somewhat of a cushion. So you're going to do a 0.5. Say okay. And then this is now going to be the nub, and then the outer one is going to be the insert. I'll first do it to the base. So I'll turn off the lid. I'm going to select the profile that's my nub, do extrude, and we're going to start from object. So you select the face, you're going to do a 0.8. 0.8. Bang. Okay. And you want to make sure that's on join. Say okay. So now you'll turn that sketch back on, and then we want to do the insert, which is for the reverse. So I'm going to extrude that from the opposite side. From object there, do a 0.7. It's going to cut, say okay. Then now, so that's what you're going to want there. You need a nub on one side, insert for the other. So you're going to do this exact same thing reverse to the lid. So you're going to create a nub from the inside of this back side here, from object, face, 0.8, join. And then you're going to do this similar thing, but it's the insert for the opposite side of this. So from object, inside of this space, do a 0.7. It's going to cut, say okay. Now through all of that confusing thing that I just showed you, turn both your base and your lid on, and we're going to check to make sure that we did it right. So under Inspect, there's a section analysis tool. That's what you're going to use. Or if you want, you can pin it to the top. I use it all the time. Select the face, drag the arrow down, and then we want to check to make sure, yeah, looks like it, that our nubs are reverse of each other, so one is going into the other on either side. So in the past, I've made boxes where the nubs both came out on the bottom, and then they both went in on the lid. The problem that I had with that over a lot of different designs is that for some reason it didn't always come on and off easily. It's like something about the motion of getting the cards in and out, take the lid off, put the lid on, it didn't work. So I prefer this design, and a lot of my customers do too. They think it works good. So that you can just check, make sure the nubs are good. And then you can hit cancel to get out of your section analysis. So this box is basically done. You can export it, you can print it. That would be fine. I would touch it up a little bit still. So the thing that I really don't like about this is it has a lot of sharp edges. I don't really care for them. We need this to be flat, and we need the very bottom to be flat because those are going to be your build platform starting points. So what I can do is change this here. If I right click and do a press pull on this edge, so these 4 edges around my lid, and I want to curve those because I think that would be better. So something about that is good. Sometimes you can pull it way behind and it does like some interesting stuff. If it breaks, you can always just use less or hit undo. So the next thing, I'll do it to this top up here and do these as well. So same thing, repeat. And then pull those back to about there. And that's probably pretty good. So that makes me feel a little bit better. The other thing I don't like is the corners here. They're sharp. And depending on your printer, your edges might not turn out sharp. They might be more rounded. But on our printers, they turn out sharp. And our customers have complained. So if you're designing something and you want someone to use it, make sure that there's not that many sharp edges on it because it's not fun to use. So after I've selected all the edges on the lid and the base, you're going to go ahead and pull those in a little bit. The thing that you want to make sure of is you want to turn off your lid and check your base. So though that's like way too close to the corner, that would create a weird extrusion. If you're into 3D printing, you know what that means. So I'll do about 2.5. Say okay. So now that I have those both curled, that's pretty good, although I could get it a little bit sleeker by creating a fillet on this outside edge here too. So I'm going to do, probably just one. Say okay. So that's pretty good, right? And then you could export this. I would think you might want to add something else, like maybe some text. So on this side here, you can right click, do a create sketch. We'll go get some text here. You could spend all day looking for fancy lettering of some kind. And I literally mean like all day. I mean, when I was in high school, all I did was look through all these different types of fonts you could have. It's really crazy. So I'm just going to pick something simple that I know isn't going to break. And then you can extrude that text. So then you can do press pull or extrude or whatever. You're going to do 1 millimeter on there and say okay, it's a join. So now I have added my name essentially on the side. You can also do pictures and make flowers and make like really cool dragons or something like that. It's up to you. So now that you're done, if you haven't saved, make sure you save. And then for getting it ready for your printer, you can right click on the whole project if you want, do save STL. You leave the default, say okay, and then put a name of some kind. I did thing for the last one, we'll do thing 2. And then you'll go into your slicer software. I use Repetier, so you'll add it to your thing here, thing 2, say okay, and then you can separate your shells if you did it this way, and they should just separate. Otherwise, you can export them individually and then get them ready to print. So I always print them like this, and it's basically always together. Something about that. And then go through your slicer, and the main thing that you're going to want to check for, and every slicer is going to be different, because the profiles I use are not like other people's profiles. So the thing that you want to check is make sure that when these paths are generated, they're not intersecting each other or touching. So for example, how on these corners over here, they're touching. That's not really good, but in this case, it's not going to kill the print. But if this is your first time printing stuff, try to make sure that the paths are always parallel with each other and not intersecting. So I think this looks pretty good. This is going to work for me. The only other thing that I would say to check is make sure you check where the nubs are at. So where it has the insert and then where it sticks out. Make sure it looks good. So it looks like it's going to do a little skin infill line there, but that's alright. And that's it. I hope you have a happy printing, and this is how you make a very simple deck box. And thank you for watching. If you liked it, make sure to comment or hit the like button. And if you want me to make more, do let me know by subscribing. That's kind of strange. Oh well.